welcome. Yeah, definitely, man, I love everything that you've been speaking on. I love everything that you've been teaching on. A lot of people can relate to it because it reside with a lot of people feelings and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Basically, it resonate with me, and it resonate with like thousands and thousands and thousands of people. So that's what's actually taking place right now because a lot of people love you for what you do, and they love what you're doing right now.
I mean,
You,
I had no idea it would be like this. I did not know. When I created the character of MahMah Tea, it was by accident, right? I didn't plan this thing. So it's like, whoa, and it took off so fast. Because I've been on platforms on YouTube. I remember when I first started in this community, it was, I want to say 2005, 2006, when we was making videos and we were coming out with this information, and we were ridiculed. They were coming for us and they didn't accept it. We were talking about divine feminine energy and black women as God and the great mother, and this was like unheard of to that level. And this is like 2006, 2007, 2008. And I had left the platforms. I want to say I was coming back and forth in it because it was just the people were not ready to hear this thing. So I had left it alone. And then as we fast forward to the advent of AI and technology and TikTok, when I got on TikTok about a year ago, and I still had a different page, and I'm saying the same things. But when I put on the age filter and I turned into MahMah Tea, it took on a whole nother energy, and it was more
persona.
like a channel, right? It was more, I'm actually channeling an ancestor where she comes out with her own accent. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's speaking from her own personality. And it's like everything that I've learned my whole life is now being put in a way and presented in a way that's palatable and received by so many. And it's like, I'm just really confirming what you already know. It's just the reason why I guess it's being received on such a broad spectrum is because you're looking at image of an elder black woman, right? And mama carries a frequency. The elders, they carry an energy and a frequency where we pay attention to it, we listen to it. So that's the only thing I can attribute to why it has like connected to so many people, is because you're looking at an image of an elder mother. So that's my explanation. But I've been saying this shit forever. I've been saying this thing forever, but I'm just happy to know that, wow, the ancestors are really, really coming forward through us, you
Working,
know, through
working too.
us. And we should not be afraid of this technology, because we're moving into the age of technology with Aquarius, right? So this is why you're seeing everything that's happening at once, this chaos, because when you begin to progress from one celestial house into the next, there's a lot of chaos that's being erupted, and there's this awakening that's happening with humanity, because now you're snapping out of that spell that you were under for the past 2,500 years, and now you're about to cross over into a knowing of who you are, right? So this is a phenomenal time for all of us to be alive and be a part of this changing of the guards. And you chose to be here. That's the thing. You chose this mission, right? So now you're here embarking upon it and just watching it manifest in this 3D reality. So yeah, it's a fascinating time to be alive. Fascinating.
So I noticed on your website you do a lot of astrology work and stuff like that. What all what all the good stuff that you do? I mean, is you like a healer or
So
coach, mentor?
professionally, yeah. So I'm a priestess, right? So professionally, I'm a massage therapist. So I heal with my hands. I heal people. I work with athletes. I work with people who have injuries. I work with people who have like energy blockages. You know, I do Reiki. I have my second attunement in Reiki. I'm not a Reiki master, but I work with my hands with healing people. That's my profession. This is what I do. This is my 9 to 5, right? This is what I do. Astrology came in. I've been studying astrology for the majority of my life, but I started taking it seriously in 2010, 2011. This is when I started getting into the deep dive into the esoterics behind astrology, the sacred geometry behind astrology, just to meet behind the mundane. They like, what's your sign? Well, I'm a Leo, I'm a Cancer. Like really getting into the truth of cosmology and how it relates to us. And so when I was started to get into the divine feminine and the great mother, I realized that when you go into the ancient temples that they had, like the temple of Dendera down in had what's her name? Had Haru's temple. She has the zodiac, right? In the temple of Dendera, she has the whole cosmos written there, and it's her own cycle, upheld by divine feminine aspects that surround her. And when I saw that, that was my awakening to like, wait a minute, this is like a real science. This is our clock, right? That's our clock, not 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. That's man-made, but true cosmic clock is by watching the processions of the universe, and because they're telling the story to us. We are actually expressions of what's above. We are the stars manifested here, down here in this 3D reality. We're expressing ourselves through the movement and the aspects of what's happening above. We are playing it out down here. So when I started watching that and really getting into birth charts, like getting someone, you know, the time you were born and the city and state you were born, because the time you were born, you take your first breath, your soul takes a snapshot of the alignments of the stars above you, and you carry that energy with you throughout your life, because your life is written in the stars, right? So just in case you forget what you're doing down here in this incarnation, is actually written for you in your natal chart for you to remember who you are and what you came here to do. So that was the study that intrigued me, to learn human behavior and how it correlates to these celestial bodies above us. That's what really got me involved in astrology. So I do all that to say, right? I'm sorry. All that to say is that yes, I study astrology and I do astrological consultations, and I'm a massage therapist and healer. I'm into crystals and all that kind of stuff. So it's just an embodiment of everything in nature. It's an embodiment of nature and the cosmos that I try to infuse and put into my daily practice of what I do.
I see that you're a teacher, a healer, and a person that heal with words, because I can see it in the way you conversate, the way you
yes, sir,
the way you put your dialogue out there, the way people kind of like grab it. It's like it hits home. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people still stuck in that slavery mentality. Like, we come from overseas, we come
right,
from Africa,
right.
But a lot of things that have been mixing along with the Pan Africans and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say to people like that that's trying to break that chain? I'm gonna plug this up real quick.
That's okay. What do I say to people that's trying to break the slave mentality? You have to understand and ask yourself, why was that placed on you mentally and physically and spiritually? There's been an attack on our souls and our spirits, like since you incarnated. So it is really up to you to break that. The thing is, we're under a spell of waiting for someone to break it for us, when the work has to be done by you. So when I say to people, what I always say is, you have to look within for your divinity. You have to look within for your liberation, and you have to connect to nature that's around you. All right. There's a reason why they want you to think you're from someplace else. It's because if you don't have connection to the land you stand on, then you're disconnected from your birthright. Right. And so without that connection to the land won't respond to you. Right. The earth responds to its children. Right. But you have been so disconnected from the land you stand on, you won't claim it. If you don't claim it, it can't respond to you. So this is what I say, reconnect to nature. Get back out there, start growing some food, start putting your feet in the ground, hug a tree, what just if you want to just watch nature, you
Mm-hmm.
will learn so much. Get you some pets, you know what I mean? Get a dog, get a cat, like watch nature and you will see how innately they are connected, how in tune they are connected to the earth, and therefore you can learn from them because the animals, were here before us. I think they were here before us, so they have an innate ability to be already grounded in nature. They are nature. They're not reading who their god is out of book. They just innately know how to survive in this thing. They know when some birds know when it gets cold, it's time for us to fly this way. Some creatures know at nighttime, this particular group of animals like to feed off us, so we better go into the burrows. It's like they innately know how to survive, but we're the only ones who are looking for instructions, and the instruction is inside you. So that's what I say to people: connect to yourself, go in, meditate, cleanse, detox, like start removing certain foods out of your diet. And I'm a strong believer that one
Just by
should,
the title.
yeah, I'm a
Uh-huh.
strong believer that one honestly should eat according to your blood type, not necessarily following a trend or a fad, right? Everyone's going to be vegan or vegetarian or whatever the new thing that's popular. Maybe your blood is not designed for that diet. Now find out what your blood type is. That's me, right? That works for me, and eat according to that and see if you begin to flourish, right?
Well, he speak highly of that right there. He just,
Oh,
you
word?
know, yeah,
That's dope.
yeah,
It's
yeah, because
true.
he was saying like back then, like when we was like tribal, uh, everything was so pure, on the land when we go and have like feasts and when we come together as one. And a lot of these foods out here is like GMO, and they all, got all these different you know, antibodies and stuff they
Yeah.
inject into these animals and stuff like that. So these meats are not really pure like it used to be. You know what I'm saying? They so
Mm-hmm.
much built on a lot of like build metals in your body and cause your body to like be out of whack and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But like far as like uh like the diets and stuff, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Getting the metals out your body, what do you recommend for people as in like for the detox and how to sustain the detox? Because
Yeah.
a lot of people can't make it past day 5 without trying to put their
It's
finger back in
mental.
that bowl.
I know. It's because drugs are masqueraded as foods, right? From what you're saying, they've tainted the food chain, because now we go to supermarkets to get our food when we used to grow our own food. We had butchers. We used to go to butchers that because butchery was an art form. The men or women that with their own butcher shops, but they would get the meat and they would cut select parts of the meat, the prime meat. It was an art for them. It was a culture. We used to go to certain people who specialized in produce and things like that to get our foods. We didn't go to a one-stop shop, which has been designed because they are creating synthetics in the food. So now how do you remove the synthetics out your food? I think it's quite simple. You go back to eating real food, right? You stop going to the grocery store for the food. You start going to farmers. You go to the farmers market. You start doing that. I suggest you fast. When I tell people to fast for 3 to 5 days, like a detox, just to get started, they're thinking, automatically when you say fast, they're thinking, 40 days, 40 nights, just drink water, right? This is the concept that they have. And I'm saying, no, you want to engulf a lot of fruits and vegetables, right? You want to juice that. You want to juice it and have it in high concentration, because what you're doing is now you're flooding your body with minerals and nutrients that you have been missing by eating all the toxins. Each green leafy vegetable has a composite in it full of the irons and the minerals that your body needs, right? So it's not like you should not be going to the store, I don't think, buying that pill that, oh, this is iron, buying all these pills of irons and phosphates and this and that, when you can just have the herb itself, right? Do a little research on whatever. I would get a blood. You can go and get a chemistry profile of your blood, and you can see what it's lacking in, right? If it's lacking in certain nutrients, then from there you can say, well, I need to build up on maybe carotene. I need to build up on riboflavins and things like that. Then you're like, well, what foods naturally have that in a high concentration? We don't want to do the research, right? We don't want to put in the work. We want somebody to say, here, take this. If you just do a little bit of research and on yourself, because you're safe in yourself, you have to be accountable. This your body. It ain't mine, it's yours. You got to take care of your body. And I can't
Free
tell you
will.
what to put in your body. Right. I
Yeah.
can't tell you the components on what to put in your body. You have to do the research on that, but you can get a chemistry profile on your blood, right? You can go to any laboratory, I believe. And I think people feel sketchy about that. But if you go to the doctor and he's drawing your blood, asking for a copy of your blood profile, right? Asking for a copy of your chemistry profile on your blood, your urine profile, asking for a copy of that. And then from there, you can go and build your own medicine by engulfing the fruits, the vegetables, the herbs in bulk to start cleansing and clearing yourself out.
I found out about my blood type a long while ago when I
Mm-hmm.
used to donate plasma.
Mm,
Plasma for them hard times of living.
yeah.
I found out my blood type A and B. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Yeah. So how do you know like the initiative of the blood types? Maybe
Like where they originated from?
yeah, as far as like where they originate from, but like what is like the characteristics of them like eating meat and stuff like that?
So there's some blood types that are meat eaters, right? They need to consume protein, and those are your old blood types, right? Those are the one of the oldest blood types on this planet is the old blood types, and these were your gatherers, your hunters and gatherers. So they used to eat meat and vegetables, right? That was what their diets consist of. They didn't have dairy. They didn't eat. They had fish, right? Just think of what's natural in the elements during the earliest times on the planet, like that background that you have, right? See that background? This was the food that they ate in their surroundings. And then as we begin to expand out into different regions of the earth, in the different climates of the earth, the food changed, right? The food changed. And then, so if you were born in these regions, then you were supposed to be eating the foods that's natural to your region, right? Because because remember, we're connected to the land. And so you need to eat what is natural to where you originated from. That is where they're getting these diet from your blood types from. AB is a combination of the A and the B. So the A blood types are normally your vegetarians, right? The B blood types, believe it or not, they're like a hodgepodge where they can eat freaking anything. You know what I'm saying? They can have the dairy, they can have the meat, they can have the fish. Because they have the combination of these types together, right? So you're gonna have to look at the region where these blood types come from and the natural foods that are in those regions, and you can create your diet based on that.
So what is your background for your family like tribal history?
So I don't know too much about my father's side. My aunts told me that my father's family was indigenous, but they didn't get into the tribal part. My maternal side, they're from the Caribbean, right? My family comes from the island. My grandmother's from my great grandmother and my great 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 grandmother. They're from the island of Tortola, and my great great grandfathers, they come from between South America, and some of them did come from Spain, come from the Moorish side of Spain. From when I traced my grandfather's father's last name, genealogy wise, It's between South America and France and Spain. But my grandmother and my great grandmother and my great great grandmother is from the island of Tortola and the island of St. Thomas. That's where they came from, and they came up here. My family, my mother was born up here. My all my aunts and uncles from my grandmother and grandfather, the majority was born in the Caribbean, and they came up to the Bronx, New York, in the late 40s. That's when they came from the islands up to the mainland in the 40s. But they have always been in the islands. So when I talk to my ancestors, they've always been in the Caribbean. They don't have a story of coming on a slave ship. They don't
Go
have
ahead.
they don't have those stories there, right? They have the stories of them always being in the islands. They don't have a story of them being transported over here from a slave ship. And many of them wasn't taught that until they came up into the educational system, when they came up into the up into New York and things like that, when they were going to school, because a lot of them were from the Caribbean. They didn't come here with those stories. As a matter of fact, when they was coming through, my great uncles used to have stories, because they came through Ellis Island, that they were reclassifying them as white. Like, they was changing their race as they came through, because they're like, no, we're from the West Indies, we're Caribbean, and they were saying, we're just going to put white down as your classification. And so they didn't understand that. It was like, so people need to understand, even when people were coming through Ellis Island in New York with the Statue of Liberty, they were reclassifying them then, right? This thing has been an ongoing conspiracy to detach us from these lands. And I always want to, tell our people, remember, people from the Caribbean are indigenous too. Look at they're still celebrating.
I got a map. I got a map
Yeah,
of all that. Yeah, it's
in
indigenous from Canada,
South, all the way
hmm
down, all the way down,
Mexico.
Central
Yep.
America, all of it is us, right? MahMah Tea did a little short video so about where you come from, when at one time this was all one landmass, right? We was all connected. We were born, like, well, how'd you get over here? We walked over here. Like, we've been here. We don't understand how old we are as a people. We are so old that you're trying to put a date on something that is immortal. I mean, that's just how I see it, right? You're trying to put a date. So as we had these continental drifts and all of these different times that the axis was changing, I believe that the axis of the earth flips according to the precession of the equinox, or the precession of when we change, moving it from one zodiac sign into the other zodiac sign. This is when we have these shifts, or they call great resets, because what's happening above us, and it's probably happening through all the planetary energies around us, they shift according to the equinoxes that's up there. We don't just have an equinox down here. There's one above us as well. So when that shifts, we all shift. So as above, so below, we all go through shifts. And with these shifts, as well as, the planet Nibiru that comes on its axis or whatever, it creates this change throughout our solar system. And this change is you can date it through precessions, right? So I think we need to make more of a connection, because many of us don't study astrology, right? We don't really even, they say it's not even real up there. Many people will tell you that's not real. I'm like, you know what?
Yep.
I disagree with that. I say it's all real. I mean, how can it not be real when it has an effect on us down here? We're following a timeline, whether you want to believe it or not. We're following a timeline, and it's about energy, and it's about transmutation of energy that we are expressing in this human form down here. So, and everyone gets a little chance to rule. Everyone gets a chance to get the scepter, right? So now we're going into Aquarius, where it's the egalitarian energy, where you have the equality of divine feminine and divine masculine energy that has to bring homeostasis or balance, right? So this is coming together of that divine feminine, divine masculine energy. That's Aquarius. Aquarius is a collective. Is you bringing your individual power to the table with everybody else. All right, with that, it's not a secret society and secret. It's just us, a select group. That's Pisces. Pisces is leaving us now. Now we're going into
I'm
Aquarius.
glad. I'm
Oh
glad
yeah,
Pisces is leaving.
yeah. I mean, and everything has its duality. Like everything has a positive and a negative energy. So we're not going to get rid of darkness. That's just a part of everything
Yep.
that exists. Is a negative
Yeah.
and positive,
Positive effect. Just like a
right?
person break down in the car, you're gonna have to fix.
It's just how this energy works. It can't be all positive and it can't be all negative, because you need a positive charge and a negative charge for things to work, for you to grow, for you to evolve. You know, there was a time, right? Everybody was talking about you got to do your shadow work. Shadow work, shadow work. You're not gonna make this until you do your shadow work. You're not gonna. I was like, oh my God. For me, right? Shadow, you're not gonna ever get rid of your shadow. That's number one. You're not gonna get rid of your shadow. The thing is not being led by your dark side or your lower side. Because I'm gonna tell you, when you're back against that wall and somebody's trying to attack you, or you feeling threatened, you gonna want that shadow side to come front and center, right? You're gonna need that dark energy to come front and center to deal with whatever it is that you're feeling pushed up against the wall from. That's like a fuel for you. It's just not constantly being led by that, right? That's the trick in balancing yourself out, bringing your higher self in balance with your lower self. Because wherever you go on 5D, 10D, 12D, it's coming with you. It's coming right along with you. You're not leaving it here. It's just about you infusing it to bring balance to yourself. Because that's how you grow, right? That's how you grow. That's how you evolve. Everything is not all peaches and cream. And it's not going to be all peaches and cream in Aquarius either, right? But the free will always be there, right? You will always have free will to be a part of the light, or you want to hop over to the dark, or you're going to walk the middle path, right? It's always going to be there. So it's the
The
choice
game
of
of
what.
life. You know, the game of life is already, they made a board game about that. The game of life.
Yeah, that's my back of the days. It is. It's prepping you. It's trying to tell you that it's a game, but you're gonna play to win, right? You're gonna play to lose, because if you lose, guess what? You start all over again, right? You're gonna play all
Yeah,
over
you
again. You're
know,
gonna hit the
but
reset.
you notice on the board, on that board game, it'll have different parts of evolution where you got kids, such and such, get married and all that. It's the same thing that plays out
Yeah,
in this
it's
in this reality.
in this reality,
Mm-hmm.
3D reality. This is a school, right? This is like it's an interesting thing about Earth, right? Earth is it's where you come in. It's about karma. To be honest with you, it's about karma. You're either going to work some off or you're going to receive a reward, because karma is not all negative, right? Karma is, you have karmic rewards and you have karmic debts. And so some of us come here to work off debts.
That
Some of
bank
us come
account,
here,
I call it karmic
yeah,
debt, a bank account.
exactly.
Yeah.
You're
Mm-hmm.
gonna make a deposit, but one thing you're not gonna be able to do is escape it, right? And there's so many beings that's waiting to come in here, because this is one of the only realms of existence in this physical form that you can taste food, right? You can express, you can feel love, you can feel hate and anger, right? You can feel, see, touch. It's the physical form, and many beings that are outside of here want to experience that. Ancestors want to, they like, the double dutch thing, when the sisters look waiting to jump in the double dutch. It's like they waiting to jump in here. They want to be a part of this, because they know that this cycle, we're about to embark upon a cycle where our karma will be cleansed and clear. And now we get to experience all the things that we were oppressed from. They're like, yo, this is a golden period we're about to embark
Yeah.
upon. So
Yeah.
these babies that's coming through here now, like, these babies alone are phenomenal. These children that are coming in these past 10 years. I did the last video with MahMah Tea about, it's called Out of the Mouths of Babes, talking about these children that are just have this wisdom and knowledge. I just want to sit down with them. I don't even care about being around the rest of y'all. Like, y'all ain't got it. These children they are on it. And this is why they were under, or still under, always been under attack, right? So, but they have no, we're supposed to provide the refuge for them, right? We're not doing it. We have fell off of our post, ignored them, especially us babies known as the Generation X. A lot of us was left to our own vices. The children of the Generation X, which are a lot of indigo children, we were left to our own vices, honey. We had to raise ourselves. And then that crack era came. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and they were talking about, oh, how bad it is, and these kids ain't like this, and these kids these days. And I was like, our parents said the same thing about us, and their parents said the same thing about them. No generation of children is supposed to be like the last generation of children.
It's gonna change. It change with variations.
Yeah. It definitely is gonna change, but we forget that. See, the powers that be know what's coming through because they study the real cosmic clock. They follow the cosmic times and they give us calendars, right? But they follow the cosmic times, and they know when this planet get over here and it makes an aspect to that planet over there, it's going to manifest down here. So we got to block this. So if you notice, whenever Black people come into a form, or Indigenous people come into a collective awakening, collective conscious awakening, they hit you with something, right? Think about the 60s, right? When the 60s, when the civil rights movement, Black people was coming together as a collective consciousness to change their situation, right? Their dynamic. Next thing you know, it was that Vietnam War, right? So the Vietnam War, everything these things happen synonymously to remove, is a distraction to remove you from your collective consciousness. Then in the 70s, when all these star children were being born in the late 60s and late 70s, just listen to the music like the Earth, Wind, and Fire and the Parliament, the Mothership. Like, think of that, right?
Yeah.
During that time.
I like George Clinton.
Yeah.
I love some George Clinton.
Right. These are some cosmic beings, right? So they would now think about that music that's playing in the mindset of the people and the babies that they're making, right? These are the children that they're making. And then they go hit them with that heroin. Remember, the heroin was big. The heroin came in through the Vietnam War. They was bringing the poppy seeds and all that. They was making the black magic, the blue magic. You remember Frank White, all of that stuff, right? So all of that was coming. Then after that, we skipped to the 80s and 90s. Now, hip hop was born in the 70s, but it started getting prominence in the 80s. In the 80s, hip hop was starting to get a little bit more recognition, commercialization, and it was conscious. When you start looking at the rappers in the 80s, it was conscious. And we was twisting our hair up. We was beginning to twist up. We was getting rid of the perms. And everybody was going back to being natural. Instead of rocking big gold chains, we was rocking leather medallions. Like we was on this whole different wave of consciousness. Then they hit you with the crack and the AIDS, right? All of this started coming in the late 80s. You have to pay attention to the timelines and the progression that's going on because they're watching above. And so this is how they get a jump on us. Because we are, when they say Black people are on CP time, we show up when we feel like it. Like, when they set a time where Black people need to be at an event, we get there late, right? We get there when we feel like get there. They say we're on CP time, color people time. It's not color people time. We on cosmic time. We move. We're innately in genetic. We're in harmony with the cosmos already, right? So we already. That's why they watch us and study us because we are the ultimate expression of cosmic energy. We manifest it. We are innately in tune with it. They watch us. They watch what's going on up there. They seeing how we are reflecting it, like to the exact degree. This is why they put barriers and blocks and things to slow us down, to slow our progression down. And they did it again in 2019. 2019, Black people, You look at the mantras that we were saying in 2018, 2019, Black girl magic, melanin power, melanin magic, right? Think of this stuff. This was all 2018, 2019. Now we getting into this like, they're like, oh shit, the boogeyman come to town, right? They got to hit us with the with the boogeyman, and then we lock us down and this and that. Black people were saying, we don't get that. We don't get that thing. We don't get the boogeyman. We don't get that. And we weren't getting it. But as soon as they got on their nightly news, and the president gets up there and he makes this with that little man, they get up there and they said the most targeted people are now you. You took that and believed that was a spell. When they get on them podiums, right, and it's on every channel, and they have to make these emergency broadcasts, those are spells that they're casting on, because we all listening, and then as soon as it hits you, it goes through the airwaves into your psyche. Now it attached to your melanin, and you believe the shit. So now it becomes your reality. We have to learn when they come on, zip, click, turn that shit off. Turn off the news, turn off that shit, because that's how they do spell casting on us.
Yeah, you notice how everything ages. Far as like hip hop, rap, cars, anything from household products, everything has to upgrade itself, just like us as beings.
For
you know
sure.
what I'm saying? Like you were saying about rap, how you remember how rap used to be in the 80s. Hip hop, hippity hip hop, and it don't stop. Now going to the 90s, then we go to the 2000s, and now we on so on, because it changes just like us. Our DNA changes, it progresses every day.
Exactly, it has to, because the stars above us move. This is what's influencing. Once you begin to study aspects, right? So let's say there's a planet that rules music. It's called Neptune, right? Neptune is one of the planetary energies that rule music. If Neptune is making a harsh aspect to, let's say, Uranus, Neptune is like starting to go, and they're very slow moving. And these planets that are the outer planets, they're more generational planets. So they're going to influence the generation. So if they're making a negative aspect, that generation is going to carry that vibration. Right. So this is why they're expressing what they're expressing. If we could blame it on foods, we could blame it on the air. All of that is playing a part. But the only reason why, because they know, okay, Neptune is about to square Uranus. This will be the perfect time to unleash this chemical. This will be the perfect time to unleash this thing. The perfect time to do that. And we're just walking in it. We don't realize we're under attack through planetary alignments. We're just in here lollying. This is how they attacking us, because they know when to strike. They know when to relax. We need to know the same thing, because it's available to us as well, right? And this was our ancient sciences. We follow this, but we don't do it because through religion, they tell you that it's of the devil and it's demonic and you shouldn't do it. So we stay away from it and we worship their deities instead. And this what threw us off. They gave us their deities in exchange for our sciences. And look where it has landed us as a collective. Right? So that's where we is.
Okay, far as like so what about like what's your thoughts on like far as like us like where we moving at? You know what I'm saying? As far as like where we're moving at, what it's going to take place, because we're in a new age as we speak right now.
Sure. I think what's happening now is breakaway civilizations. We're going to have pockets of humanity doing certain things. You're going to have groups. That's why it's so important to find your tribe right now and build with your tribe, because everyone is not going to do it at the same time. Everyone is not going to be on the same frequency at the same time. So this is why it's so imperative that you connect with those that's vibrating on your frequency and start building that way. I was just having a conversation with one of my homegirls today she asked the same question, right? And I was like, we have to go back to how we used to do it. So for instance, I have a daughter. right? And she's my best friend, and we're on the same frequency and the vibration, and she has a son. We raised them up together. Her son marries my daughter. Now they have the same collective mindset because we're raising them in the same frequency. So they have the knowledge. And so when her son marries my daughter, their children will be brought up in the same knowledge. And so therefore, like, then I may have another friend or my brother or someone that has the same frequency and vibration. They have children, and then they start raising their children with our children, and then they start intermarrying with each other. This is how we build a nation on the same vibration and on the same collective vibe. And then we start building these communities like that. We have to look at these things as like on a computer, we have nodes, right? You have a node, and there's a line that connects to another node, and there's a line that connects to another node. Like if you look at a chart, a diagram, a chart, you have the circle, and then you have another a lane that connects to another circle, and a lane that connects to another circle. This is where we're going. Like I have a tribe. My tribe is we're on this vibe right here, and we connecting and we're building. And you got a tribe, and we trade with each other. We exchange. This is what that that node is, and we grow like that. Let's say you might be good at growing food, and we might be good at technology. So now we have to exchange our collective expertise with each other in order to continue to build networks and grow. That's what I see our future going to. That's when I look at Aquarius. Aquarius rules networks. It rules the 11th house in the zodiac, which rules social groups, networking, friendships, a collective unit, hopes, dreams, and wishes. This is the time for us to embark upon our hopes, our dreams, and our wishes through connectivity with networking with people of like minds. This is where we're going. So that's the vibe. That's the vehicle we need to be riding on. You know what I'm saying? That's basically where my perception of what I see when I think of Aquarian energy, like where we're going with that. So it's imperative that people start finding their tribes, right? Start finding their you have to, because that's the only way you're going to make it, because they divided and separated us for a reason, right? They divided and they kept us all away. But with the help of the internet, see, that's what I'm saying. There's nothing that they can do to stop our progression. Nothing, right? They have tested and tried over and over again. They have technology where they can look into the future and see what it will be like. And it's always the same result. Humanity wins. Humanity wins because humanity is governed under Aquarius and Uranus and Saturn energy, right? Saturn is going to change its frequency from being the enforcer to being the supporter, right? To being the supporter. So you have to walk in that knowing of that. If you don't do, I don't know what to tell folks is still on that, what they going to do when they doing this and they going to do that. Well, fuck them. You either going to roll with them and let them eat you, let them feed off of you, or you're going to be your own, you're going to know what you want, what you see, the future that you see for you, your family, and your generations after you. You connect with tribes that see the same thing, and y'all build that. We need, there's so many people that got land that ain't doing nothing with it. That I own 20 acres down in Georgia. I got 20 acres. What you doing? That's a whole city.
Some people need to look into their genealogy and find out, where they stand at. Because sometimes a lot of that genealogy, because a lot of people keep saying genealogy, don't look at the genealogy, but really it have to trace back from your first grandmama, because everything else is like obsolete. You know what I'm saying? Because the family tree grows, but you know what I'm saying, you don't know what that particular uncle or great where they align to, you know what I'm saying, because they could be aligned somewhere else. So you have to go back to the very first generation of grandmas. You know what I mean?
And she carries a cosmic blueprint as well, right? And she's the manifestation of the star in the flesh. Right, when it comes from that first grandma, her origins is starborn. She came down here and created that bloodline through a man. All them stories about these prophets is really about your ancestors, right? We ain't, you know, we are a manifestation of cosmic beings. We started this bloodline.
Yep.
When they talk about these mythological gods and this and that, these are our ancient mothers, right? They were real. Like you see petrified images of mountains, of people in it, their faces in it, and things like this. We were the giants, right? It's just all us. We never stopped. Like we never stopped being born. We just maybe have morphed into what you see today, but through our chemical bloodline, through that mitochondrial DNA, through those genetic genes, they all originated. It's starborn shit. Like we starborn. We are starborn people. We don't want to believe it, but we started from somewhere. The earth just didn't appear, and you know, it just didn't appear. Something helped cultivate it, right? Something helped cultivate it, and it was through your ancestral bloodline that came here, or your blood type, right? Because your blood type originated from a star being. That's why there's different blood types. So if you want to start tracing, get to your grandma, but then where she come from? You feel me?
I had when I had to look at my own family background in the ancestor tree, because my ancestor tree is related to like the dances, and a lot of the dances come from up north. And my tree, my bloodline, I have Shoshone. I have like, man, you name it. It was Mokala. What is it? Mocha something. It was in our family DNA though. You know what I mean? It's another different race of like Indians.
Yeah, I
That
know what
was
you're
like,
talking about.
they're like high red people, real high
Yeah,
red people.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, for
yeah,
sure. Look at the clay, look at the dirt composites of the dirt that's up there as well, right? This is when you were saying it's so interesting that you said you had AB blood type, because that is a northern type of that northern hemisphere carries that blood type,
yeah. Dealing with
right?
the
So I would be paying attention to the composites. So I'm gonna go tap in a little mythology a little bit. So like when your cosmic ancestors came here, this is where your blood type originated from, and they started creating us here on this earthly form. They started gathering the nature that's around that area to make you, right, to either infuse with you. So this is why when you say I'm this blood type, I'm that blood type, you want to look at the geographical area and the mineral composites in that area, because if you're going to find that concentration highly in you, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense to you, right?
yeah. I
But
understand.
yeah. So whether there's redwood, like look at the redwood trees. They're all in
Yup.
different certain parts of the
Oak.
of the country.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
redwood. So that's because you know the trees was like mountains at a certain time, right? They was monolithic. They were like, let's, you know, when you see that they cut a lot of them off and we're thinking they're mountains. We need to look at the composites of some of those trees, because you're gonna find that in you. You know what I mean? And not only that, what's growing around that tree,
Yeah.
right?
The movie.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say the movie Avatar was holding a lot of that information in, because it was telling some truth right there.
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
a lot of people start tapping in, like this is really, I'm starting to see like a lot of different prophets online. I call them prophets because we're in the age of prophets, because a prophet is somebody that speaks
Right,
and
right.
tells downloads from the universe. So
Absolutely.
so in this day and age, I feel like we the new prophets, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Relating the message and the word to the people so they could come aware.
Yeah.
And like you were saying about the trees and stuff like that, and it was just breaking down, but you could see these stumps is still there. You know what I mean?
The evidence of our ancient reality will always be here, right? You can't get rid of it, because you have to know your story. Are you willing to put in the work to research and find your story? It's there. They can't erase it, right? They can erase and change words in books because they want you to focus on the book. I I stopped reading a lot of these books a long time ago because books are written from someone's perspective. I'm relying solely on my downloads, right? And they become more fluent, they become more clear when I start changing how I eat and I spend more time in nature. Then I'm starting to hear and get the answer and where to look. And then things will start coming to you because the earth will respond to you when you begin to connect back to her. Right? She'll tell you, she'll let you know, and you'll start seeing images like through your screen, like you'll start seeing over repetitive images, or people will start to say things in repetition. This is how they communicate. They're going to use the things that surround you to talk to you, to show you things. And it's going to, and how you know it's them, it resonates, right? You be like, yo, I was just thinking about that. And then someone is talking about it on a podcast, or I was just, you know what I'm saying? I was just, you'll be saying in your head, man, I really need to go like upstate New York and really looking at it. The next thing you know, you're thinking it, right? And then you start seeing, you might run into someone who said, I'm from upstate New York. Like, I'm from this and that and the other. Not necessarily if you've seen it on a computer, because there's already conspiracy. Oh, they're reading your thoughts. They know what you're thinking, and they want to sell you things. Sometimes we give these people way too much credit, right? And not enough credit to your ancestors, because they're speaking to you in numerous different ways. It's through repetition, right? When you've seen it over and over again, when you're hearing it over and over again, that's them nudging you, like, you paying attention. I'm telling you this like 8 different times in 8 different ways. You listening, right? So that's kind of like how they're trying to bring the messages to you. And that's how I see it. I could be wrong, but that's just how it works for me. You know what I'm saying? That's how it works for me. Yeah.
A lot of people used to see totems in their dreams and stop the spiritual animals. They didn't know what that means. A lot of people didn't know what that means.
That's an indigenous connection, right? Right. So indigenous tribes, they always, it's nature. That's what I'm saying. They connected to nature and its expression through animals, through the characteristic of animals, animal totems, animal spirituality. That's a big form of cultural, a cultural divine system, a system of divinity is always connected through images and representations of animals. So absolutely, these totems of eagles or snakes or bears, and then they would name their tribe, right, after these animals because of the characteristic that animal carried, that the tribe related to, right, or the buffalo. You know what I mean? Or the polar bear and things like that. It's like, and it's always around your environment that they are prevalent in, right? Because there's certain regions where you're not going to find certain animals, So this is what I'm saying. Your environment is so important, and totems are amazing. And so, especially dreams, when your ancestors speak, because you can find out how you connect to your ancestors by looking at your natal chart. Every question you have about yourself is in your natal chart. It's there. It's written there, because the reason why is because in case you forgot when you got here, it's written in the stars. It's written, and it's just for you, because there's no one born the same time in the same place in the same minute that you were born. No one, not even twins. Not even twins are born at the same time. They got to take one out at a time, right? They can't go in, and they're not born simultaneously. So this is to show you that you have your own individual, unique path. And in case you forget, it's written in the stars. Like ancestors will write things on walls or in hieroglyphs or on these certain images and monuments that they finding all over the place, etched in there. Where your story is etched in the stars, it's in the heavens, it's etched in there for you. So you can never forget. There's no excuse for you to say, I don't know what I'm supposed to be here to do. I don't know why I'm here. That's yeah, you do. It's right here. Like, this is you. I'm not making this up. I'm not drawing this up, because I'm using your data to bring forth your information that's tailor-made for you.
Unlocking that memory.
Oh,
It
for
take a lot
sure.
to, yeah, that's what it's all about. Unlocking that memory, remember
Yeah.
who you are.
Your genetic memory. And you could do that through meditation and fasting and detoxing and eating the foods that are natural to you. Right? Now you're activating your minerals and your genetic code. We're connected to food in this body, right? Because your body is connected to the soul in this lifetime. Like it's a symbiotic relationship, right? So when they say we're not our bodies, but you're in it though. We're not made of it, but it's an infusion. If Let me tell you something. Take your hand and slam it in the door. You gonna feel that shit, ain't you? You gonna be hollering. You gonna be screaming.
Yeah, yeah,
You'll be
yeah.
hollering up a storm. So you connected to it. You connected to it. So the best way to embody the Trinity, your Merkaba, right, is to eat what was designed for you to eat. Now you're operating at a peak level, at optimal level, right? Because we're not doing that. All of us are guilty of not doing what's natural to us because we haven't researched ourselves, right? We're following what Tom, Dick, and Harry says to do. And everything Tom, Dick, and Harry says to do is not right for Jane, Betty, and Wilma. You know what I'm saying? So you got to know what your cosmic makeup is made from and build on that. It's real simple. That's not hard to do. It just takes a little digging, but it's worth it, right? It's worth it. We're lazy, though.
Yes.
We're lazy. Human beings is lazy. We don't want to do shit. We want somebody to tell us. But and
Yeah,
that's how you get deceived.
yeah, definitely. Man, we got to touch bases on this again on some real tribal
Yeah,
shit,
I
tribal
appreciate it.
downloads. I want to dig deep into a lot of that stuff and try to,
Yeah.
like, you know what I'm saying, go furthermore into it. You
Oh,
can
we
you
will.
got yeah, make sure you let everybody know how to reach you and stuff, and that way
Absolutely.
we can,